It is time. SBR Betting Roundtable every Wednesday, 10 a.m. Eastern, alongside Donnie Rightside, Jeff Nadeau, Ian Cameron. I am Drew Martin. Today's show, we're hitting on bet on fade teams in any sport, bet on fade pitchers coming up this week in MLB. We got a little NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs, and if there's time, which I'm betting there will be, CFB, college football week 1 lines. What's catching the guys' eyes? Let's get right at it. Introduce yourselves. Let's start off with Donnie Rightside. Find him on Twitter at RightsideVP. Donnie, welcome in, buddy.
Look, we figure out here it's a great roundtable each and every week, but sometimes life's little lessons give it to you. If the Houston Rockets can pull out a win at Golden State, Drew, can't we go on a run here on the roundtable and go 4-0 today? Should be fantastic, a lot of fun. Happy to join you fellas. May 23rd. Is there a better day to be here? Right here, right now, sportsbookreview.com. Let's go.
Let's go. Donnie Rightside and his partner in crime, Jeff Nadeau. Follow him on Twitter at Jeff Nadeau. Jeff, welcome in, buddy.
Good to be on here, Drew. I agree. Let's try to go 4-0.
Let's go 4-0. Best bets, hitting 57% on the year. We did have a down week last week. Jeff, you were the sole winner, went 1-3 with your soccer picks. So thanks for holding us strong there. Last, certainly not least, Ian Cameron. Arguably the best CFL handicapper in the world, under 1 month till kickoff. Also a great NHL handicapper. Follow him on Twitter at Babano. His work at sportsmemo.com. Ian, welcome in, man.
Yeah, good to be with you guys. As I'm trying to punch in a Malaysian soccer bet that one of my soccer sources sent me, and it's hard to find these damn things. But anyway, it's good to be with you here on the roundtable. As always, it's a great show. A lot to talk about. I mean, we got World Cup soccer coming up. You got hockey and NBA playoffs, baseball, college football openers come up, CFLs in a month. I mean, it's a great time of year. Lots of things to keep you busy.
Absolutely. And what, Malaysian soccer catching your eye? Good luck with that, getting that in, man. But guys, let's get right at it. Bet on fade teams. Donnie, what's catching your eye? Bet on fade teams this week, man.
Bet on fade. I went with more or less bet on fade pitchers at this point, but I mean, we can have the usual suspects out there. If we take a look, let's go pitching fade. I think everybody on the roundtable can agree. You turn the green light on when you see Danny Duffy on the mound out there anymore. Jeff and I talked about it earlier on the right side of campus this week. Sometimes things just come into play. You're just not getting around. You get injured. Then when you get injured, sometimes you're a little bit depressed. You hit the booze, you get DUIs, and you don't make that recovery back to the major league mound. Danny Duffy right now for me, forget about fade on. I guess it would be the Royals at this point then. When Danny Duffy's on the mound, I'll fade him all day long. Just doesn't look sharp out there. And the easiest thing to do in Major League Baseball, a lot of times, it's hard to stack lefties against right-handed pitchers because most players are right-handed overall. How many times is Danny Duffy going to come up against all right-handed batters and get raked this year? Come on, Danny Duffy, get back on the mound for me so I can take that over.
All right, fading Danny Duffy for Donnie. Jeff, what about you? Bet on fade pitchers?
I got two of each, or one of each, and then I got teams as well if you want them. I'll start with teams. Listen, bet against right now. Listen, this Diamondback team sucks. They stink. They're not any good. I like their rotation. I won't doubt you on that. But this offense sucks. Ian, talked with you, talked with Donnie. Now I'm going to talk to all of you about it. They are the worst offense in the league. Okay, we could try to say, well, they had Paul Goldschmidt. Doesn't matter. Paul Goldschmidt's hitting 198. Paul Goldschmidt is hitting 198. Stop the presses and tell me when you've heard that before. Have you ever seen Paul Goldschmidt under 250? Paul Goldschmidt sucks right now, and so does his team. And you ask yourself, why do they suck? Because they don't have anyone anymore. Everyone's gone. Brandon Drury's gone. JD Martinez is gone. AJ Pollock's always injured. What do you have? Gene Segura left. What do you have in this lineup to talk about? There's nothing here. They're last in batting average. They're last in on-base percentage. They strike out the second most times in baseball. They're 29th in runs scored. They're just not any good. They can't hit. They get shut out again last night. This is just a bad team who can't get out of their own way. As far as bet on, I would go with the Milwaukee Brewers. This team is quietly 30-19. They've won 7 of 10. And you ask yourself, what have they been able to do that? They're 5th in the major leagues in earned run average. They've had a great season from the rotation. And you look at the rotation. I mean, there's nothing that's that great with this group. Great bullpen. Hader's been absolutely great in the back end. You look at their new additions this year, Kane and Yelich, 11 home runs, 34 RBIs. They've really helped them out. I like this Milwaukee Brewer team. They're quietly playing really well. Fade pitchers quickly. Bet on. I'll go right back to the Brewers. Walees Chacin. I like this kid a lot. Last 4 starts, opponents hitting a buck 45 against him. His whip is under 1. And this year, right-handers hitting just 196 off Chacin. He's been a very, very good pitcher. Last one, bet against. I'm going right back to this guy. I'm going to tell everyone out there, when you see this guy on the mound, bet against him. I bet against him the last 4 or 5 starts. Andrew Suarez out for San Francisco. He's got a bad bullpen behind him. Right-handers hitting 345 off Suarez. And on the road, pump that up to 382. People are hitting against Andrew Suarez. This guy is a fade. He can't get anyone out, and right-handers are just burying him every time they face him. Fade is Andrew Suarez.
I like it, BMOC. Great info there. And your fade team, Arizona, your bet on team, Milwaukee, on the top of the card, 951, 952, playing each other today. So seeing where you're going with that. Hey, Ian, let's get you in here, man. What do you got for bet on fade pitchers or teams?
Mute.
Well, yeah.
Mute.
Oh, there we go. All right, there we go. Yeah, I don't argue with Arizona being bet against at all. That is a complete fade team right now. They're not hitting whatsoever. Starting pitching's been decent, but it's not enough to overcome just a lineup that really 1 through 9. When a team is in a slump at the same time, and it seems like everybody on that team right now is in a slump at the same time. That's why you get these kind of offensive outbursts from offensive problems with them, and you're seeing that with Arizona. So them as a bet against, I have no issues with that. Bet against pitcher for me is Drew Pomeranz for the Boston Red Sox. I'm not liking anything I'm seeing from him right now. We're seeing a decline in his velocity. He's not getting swings and misses. His swinging strike rate has dropped. His velocity's dropped. He's never a hard thrower to begin with, but at least he could get it up there to 91, 92 miles per hour. Last year and even very early this season. He's topping out at about 88, 89 miles per hour right now. That is a sharp drop, and as a result, his pitches are getting clubbed all over the park right now. He's been awful the last couple outings, terrible last time out against Baltimore. Boston Red Sox are not an easy team to bet against, but Drew Pomeranz is a very easy pitcher right now. To bet against for me. So Drew Pomeranz definitely stands out in that regard. Tyler Skaggs for the LA Angels, maybe a bet on pitcher. And this is a little foreshadowing to where I'll be going later on in the show. He's been very good for the LA Angels lately. Less than 3 ERA. He's going on the road. He's been solid. And he's doing a very good job for the Angels on a team where, Shohei Ohtani is going to get a lot of the respect in the betting markets and attention. Garrett Richards is going to get a lot of respect and attention. This guy may not get as much attention. So what's that mean? That means you're going to get more value in the betting markets to maybe back a guy like Tyler Skaggs. Tyler Skaggs, bet on for me. Drew Pomeranz, bet against.
I like it, Ian. And you bring up, Boston with Drew Pomeranz. Might be looking, overs or opposite team total overs? How would you look to bet that?
Give me team total with the other team over. Give me the full game over as well, because Boston can still hit. And I'll probably look at the side that they're facing that day with Boston with Pomeranz on the mound. So I would be looking to attack it from all 3 angles there.
Okay, good stuff, guys. Anybody else want to throw anything out, bet on or fade teams? We've got a couple games coming up today. And guys, in the chat box, thanks for chiming in. We got one nice shirt, Donnie. I agree. That's a good one, man. Also, let us know what you want to hear about. And if you could hit the thumbs up button, the like button, we would appreciate that. Guys, we got a day game and a night game to go over on the MLB card. We got 951, 952, the aforementioned game. Arizona, Milwaukee, Suter versus Godley. Looks like minus 110 for the home team, Milwaukee. Jeff, we'll start off with you, man. You brought this game up. Have you already bet the Brewers today?
Well, actually, Drew, I didn't bet the Brewers last night. I've actually taken the under in these games. I don't really, and I'm not saying I'm doing it today, but like last night, I just didn't understand that. I mean, all you needed was Matt Koch to pitch well, and he was able to do so. As far as this game's concerned, it wouldn't surprise me if Arizona was able to find a win here. Brent Suter hasn't exactly been good at home. He's had some major trouble inside that ballpark in 3 starts. Whip at over 1.7. I don't know. I mean, again, though, I don't. If I'm going to look at a game and I have to think that the Diamondbacks are the right side, I'm just probably not going to bet it. I can't under any circumstance think that they can hit. I mean, they seem to make everyone look like Cy Young. Would it surprise me if Suter pitched well here? No, not at all. Um, this is much more of a coin flip. But yeah, I think betting against Arizona, I don't think it's ever a bad thing. Do I really want to lay though a price with uh, Brent Suter? No, not really. So I actually don't have anything on this game.
Okay. We got Eric in the chat box saying Brew Crew's pen is legit. I agree with him. Ian, you got anything on the D-backs Brewers?
It's Milwaukee and under or nothing. Very, very simple for me. You can't back a team that's just showing you absolutely zero confidence at the plate, 1 through 9 in the lineup right now. That's exactly what we're seeing with Arizona. You go on down the list, everybody's struggling right now. And of course, Pollock being out has also hurt. So you look at this Arizona team, it's an issue right now, being able to hit the baseball. Suter to me is very erratic. You don't know what you're necessarily always going to get from him start to start. But for me, I would either take Milwaukee and take the under or leave it alone.
Okay. And Donnie, anything on this day game and follow-up?
Yeah, Suter tied up Minnesota last time out very well there. A crafty left-handed guy. But again, Jeff brings up the good point there. You have to, just because if you line up, let's just say you can just have like 8 right-handed bats in for Arizona. Does that even make a difference at this point? If me, Jeff, Ian, and Drew out there lined up from the right-hand side of the plate, just doesn't mean we're going to line up and rake Brent Suter on the mound there. You have to have viable bats. They're just not hitting right now. And then home and away splits that we like to take a look at with the Arizona Diamondbacks. I mean, it's no secret there. The ball used to fly out of there out in the desert. I know it's a dome there, but over the years, Goldschmidt, I mean, that team used to hammer it home. Now they throw the humidor in there. It looks like it's messed with everybody's mind. So taking the home and away splits there, you're actually a better pitcher technically if you go out to Arizona with the humidor now. Now you're going on the road. If we look at Godley, he can be hit from the right side of the plate. 384 weighted on base average. His xFIP is over a 5, which is ridiculously bad. And if we know anything about the hometown Milwaukee Brewers, they have 5+ at bats, and they can line up 5 to 6 bats from the right-hand side today. I think I agree with the rest of the table here. I don't like Suter that much as a pitcher, but just because you're an average pitcher, you need the other team to participate in order to get runs back there. It would be Milwaukee or nothing for me today. I think they can get it done.
Yeah, I agree with you, Donnie. And also follow up on that. Could you hit a 90-mile-an-hour fastball?
No, right. No, right. If I had a 90-mile-an-hour fastball, I would swing. My back would be out, and it would be bad news right now.
Yeah, I'm in that camp as well, man. Not going there. But 967, 968, the night game. We got the Angels in Canada playing the Blue Jays. Looks like Angels laying -117, as low as -111 actually at JustBet right now. Looking at SBR odds, -117 at Pinnacle. So a little bit of opinion here from the books. Ian, talking a Canadian game. Are you looking to bet the Jays or the Angels today?
Yeah, quickly, one last little point on Arizona. Remember when everyone was just loving this team, one of the most profitable teams in baseball? They were up nearly 20 units of profit at one point early this season. They're now +3 units on the season. Look at how much money they have lost over this time where they have struggled, where they're 1-10 in their last 11 games. Look at how much they've given back of that 20 units of profit they were up almost. Now it's just 3. So what a fall for the Arizona Diamondbacks during this time. Angels, Blue Jays, north of the border. I said Toronto needed to show me they could win. They finally did. Snapped a 4-game losing streak. They had an ugly, ugly home series against Oakland over the weekend. Just awful. Couldn't hit. Didn't get any sort of pitching that was any sort of good. But they finally bounced back. Snapped that 4-game losing streak last night, a 5-3 win. Good start for Jay Happ. How about that? 2 starts in a row. He's been fantastic for the Blue Jays. Aaron Sanchez, though, has not been fantastic for the Toronto Blue Jays. He's had issues. This guy has really good stuff, but he's not been harnessing it this year. 4.47 ERA, 29 walks in 50 innings is way too many. Command and control's evaded him. He's had 11 walks in his last 3 starts, 5.68 ERA during that time. Not a guy I trust right now. And unfortunately for Sanchez, because of the high pitch counts and all the walks, because he's going into 2-2, 3-2 counts all the time. He's not eating up innings. The bullpen's tired. And if you get into the middle relief of this Toronto team, you can do damage. It's not a great middle relief core that the Blue Jays have. They're trying to duct tape and glue this thing together in the middle relief with the John Axfords of the world that have been around for a bunch of different teams now, and it's trouble for Toronto if their pitcher can't go deep into ball games, especially with Osuna still out, the closer, due to his domestic violence charges against him. So I don't trust Sanchez because I don't think he's going to pitch well. I don't think he's going to pitch deep. Toronto bullpen's probably going to have to play a big role. So I think he's going to struggle here. Angels have done decently against him in the past. Tyler Skaggs, I mentioned him. I think he's a bet-on guy. He's been fantastic. 2.6 ERA last 3 starts, 5 runs allowed in those last 17 innings. And Toronto can't hit lefties. They've been very, very poor against southpaws this season. It's been a problem for them. For me, it's the LA Angels laying the short price on the road.
Ian, you brought up J.A. Happ, and he's a guy that's had velocity decline, but yesterday he pitched well. What did you notice anything with his last outing?
A lot more pop in his stuff last night. He was getting swings and misses. He struck out Shohei Ohtani, and not just once, but I believe twice last night in that series opener. So when you're doing that to Ohtani, and we know how much power that guy has in his bat, that's very impressive for Happ. He seemed to have a little bit more of more velocity, I guess you could say, but it seemed like he had better movement more than anything on his pitches last night, and that was a good outing for him.
All right, man. And BMOC, do you got anything in this game?
Yeah, this is an interesting game because I like Skaggs. I agree with Ian a lot. I think that rotation is getting better than people think. I know Garrett Richards didn't pitch well last night, but overall he's been good when he's healthy. Skaggs has been good as well, and I trust him in this spot. I think Aaron Sanchez on the surface, you might look at him and say, "Well, I don't like it," but he's got the tools. And you look at this matchup against the Angels. Lefties are hitting 311 off of him. Righty-handers are hitting 198 off him. So we inspect the Angels and we say, who are the lefties in this lineup? Cole Calhoun, who's hitting 180, and Luis Valbuena, who doesn't play every day, hitting 240. So, I mean, I don't know if that's exactly what you want. They're not exactly a ton of lefties on this team that can really exploit that matchup. I think Aaron Sanchez will pitch decently today. And with the way the Angels are hitting, I'm not running to the window to assume that they'll do well in this game. I think 9's a bit too high in this game. I'll go under the number. I think Skaggs will give you some good innings. Toronto's bullpen and the Angels have both been generally good, and they're not too bad. I'll go under 9 here. I think the Blue Jays will struggle against Skaggs, and I think Sanchez is a better matchup than you might think.
All right, BMOC liking the under in the Toronto game. Donnie, what about you, man? Anything on this day game or the night game?
Looking at Toronto's numbers last night. I mean, Jeff brings it out. Even if you look at Richards, he didn't really pitch that bad last night. It was a huge error in the first inning that piled onto, I believe, a 4 or 5 run first, and then the game settled down after there. You're right. When you look at these games, I mean, Toronto's getting a little bit better against left-handed pitching, but Skaggs has been good all season long. And you're going to, the old school theory of, hey, if he's a lefty, let's line up 8 or 9 righties. Sometimes the pitcher, when you look at it from a formality standpoint, he gets used to the right-handed batters, right? I mean, you're just a human emotion. If everybody's coming up from the right-hand side, you can get locked in like, all right, I'm hitting the outside corner, I'm hitting the inside corner. If you have that lefty-righty split there, the pitcher has to think, different angles, different balls. I can't throw a slider to this guy because he's on the left-hand side. Sometimes that plays right into the pitcher's MO when it's all right-handed batters. That's all you have to focus on. You don't have to worry about any left-handed batters at that point. But Jeff's right. Also, taking a look from the Angels' perspective, if you look at Sanchez's home splits here, lefties crush him. 433 weighted on base average, a 663 FIP. But if you're going to line up one lefty against the guy, throw those numbers completely out the window and you just focus on the right-handed batters at this point. Again, you have to be able to exploit mismatches to pick up wins in baseball. I agree right now. If I'm looking at this game overall, I'm probably going to lean more towards the under than I would at the over. I don't like the game overall, but boy, it would be nice if you had 4 or 5 active left-handed bats in the lineup for the Angels. Then all hell could break loose. But if you can't exploit a weakness, which is left-handers for Sanchez, I'm not going to see that many runs.
Liking the under as well. Okay, so it looks like
I would lean on the under. Yep.
Okay, suppressed runs in this night game that we're breaking down, guys. We got NBA playoff talk, NHL playoff talk, in college football week 1 lines. If you could share on Facebook, retweet on Twitter, try to get the word out on the Roundtable, we would really appreciate that. Ian, let's get into NBA playoff talk. What's on your mind as far as betting single games or maybe any futures tickets you're looking to bet?
Yeah, I mean, the zigzag theory has been perfection so far in the Houston Golden State series. I mean, back and forth, it's gone. Houston game 1, Golden State game 1, Houston game 2, Golden State game 3, and then Houston with a tremendous job last night, down 10. Golden State did what I expected them to do down at halftime, come out firing. They did. They got that lead up to 10. I was interested to see, does Houston have that response in them? And everybody came to play last night. James Harden was terrific. Chris Paul was excellent. The supporting cast was very strong. I talked about them, Ariza, Gordon, guys like that had to step up for the Houston Rockets, and they did. And more importantly, you hold the Golden State Warriors to below 40% shooting, 92 points at the Oracle. You're doing something right defensively. That was fantastic by the Houston Rockets. That was mental and physical toughness from a team that I wasn't sold on having that prior to last night. They showed it. Backs against the wall, Can't go down 3-1. We basically we had our hand right in a Golden State player's eyes all night long throughout that basketball game. It was tremendous to see. That fourth quarter defense for Houston was stifling. And as a result, they are all of a sudden have a puncher's chance in this series. I'm not panicking if I'm Golden State. I honestly still think Golden State's going to find a way to advance and win this series. But Houston's now going to make them work for it. And there now is absolutely some belief in this Rockets dressing room, locker room, that they can win this series. Could be a dangerous thing for Golden State, considering 2 of the last 3 games are going to be in Houston at that Toyota Center.
Yeah, good point with Houston making a stand there. That I was very surprised by that as well. We got Andrew in the chat box saying Rockets in 7, Cavs in 7, Rockets versus Cavs. Rockets win it all. LeBron leaves Cleveland. He's going out on a limb there. BMOC, what are you thinking for NBA playoffs?
Well, I'm going to go back to this again. When you see Golden State on a Tuesday, bet against them. They're 1-11 against the spread on Tuesdays now. And I want to shout out our friend Gabe Morency, who I chatted with yesterday. Gabe gave me a nice stat, guys. Now it's a trend, but it's interesting. There's a show called Detail. Kobe Bryant does it, where he details one player's defense and how they played in the game before. He's featured 7 different players at this point. Every player he's featured, in the next game, they lose. Last night's feature was Stephen Curry. Look what happened. They lose. If you're featured on Detail, you're going to lose in the next game. It's a decent fade at this point, and that's something that Gabe found. We talked about it on his own show yesterday, and it seemingly came through. As far as Houston winning this series, do I think it's impressive that they held them to 39% shooting in that building? Yeah, it is. It really is impressive. But you're still not getting a ton from anyone else other than Harden and Chris Paul. Eric Gordon gave you a little bit, but where else does your scoring come from? You're going to have to pick that up if you're going to expect to win a couple games in a row here. I still think the Golden State Warriors will win. I just don't think anyone will beat them. I can't see it. But I'll tell you what, Houston's in a pretty damn good spot at this point. As far as tonight's game, I'm not betting against Boston at home. It's very much road home stuff here for me. Boston's been very good at home. I can get them at a coin flip. I'll tell you what, the one thing Golden State must address, they need some kind of center at some point. I mean, every year they have this just crap up at the 5 spot. Like, I like Jordan Bell. He's a nice player, but you need a guy that can score a little bit. That might be something in the draft they better go at and try to get. They need some kind of scoring big man that can maybe step up, pick and pop. They don't have that, but hasn't hurt them in the past. But I think it'll still be the Warriors. As far as Cavs Celtics, hell if I know at this point.
Big man, you bring up the Tuesday trend. Do you think that really matters? Something you would look to bet on or against going forward? And if so, why?
I don't know that it does matter. I mean, okay. But I think when you get a pronounced trend like that where it's 12, 13, 15 games, there's something to be said about it. I think it's interesting. But does it really affect them? No. It's probably just coincidence merely. But I do know in the playoffs, none of the Tuesday games they've covered. I think the one cover this year was in the regular season. So I don't know. It's interesting to think about, though. But no, I don't know. It's probably just merely coincidence.
And Donnie, a question for you, like these trends, like that Tuesday trend Big Man brought up, and really across all sports, do you bring those into account in your handicapping?
No, not really. Not in the NBA, because if you're looking at like, every Tuesday or whatever it is, I don't know the formalities that go through it. But if you were to tell me like, every Tuesday Golden State plays outdoors in the Bay Area with a 25-mile-an-hour wind on a pickup court, and that's the reason why they can't shoot threes, then I would believe it on the Tuesday. But I think it's one of those numbers that sometimes you just look at, they just line up and just one of those, abnormalities out there. I wouldn't take a look at when they played or, if it's a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, really.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And Ian, any follow-up on that, like trends bringing them into your handicapping?
Yeah, the day trends like that, Tuesdays, it's working. Don't get me wrong, but I think still a lot of it's randomness, a little luck factor involved. But it is an odd stat. There's no question that Tuesdays has been a bad day for them. I don't really put too much into that. I'm looking at a few little bit more tangible, player statistic-driven, team statistic-driven stats in terms of that. But yeah, you can't deny that it's been successful. Boston, Cleveland, yeah, the home team's 4-0 straight up in ATS in this series in the East. So for me, I'm not betting against a home team until I see something change. Although there is a little bit of a feel now. Boston could be up against it a little bit. Cleveland's found their mojo the last few games, but don't undersell that home court at the TD Garden. It has been a lethal one for the Boston Celtics.
And guys, we do have some sound glitches down here. We're coming to you from Costa Rica. Johan, the producer, just told me, Big Man, you wanted to say something?
No, I just wanted to mention, look, we can talk about how great Houston was last night. Listen, it was really the fact that Golden State pissed the game away. I mean, there were some bad decisions late in that game from Steve Kerr, not calling timeouts, things like that. The last possession was god awful. And look, they turned the ball over 16 times. You can't do that. You can't turn the ball over 16 times in a playoff game and expect to win. They'll get that fixed. They're still going to win this series.
Hey guys, we got 60 seconds with Ian Cameron. Ian, under a month from CFL, but I'm guessing you're talking NHL. Either way, have at it, man. 60 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, CFL, obviously training camps have just opened, so there's a lot more. We'll get into that later on, closer to the start of the season. But yeah, training camp's open. The season's going to start June 14. 3 weeks away. Looking forward to that. Hockey, we've got a Game 7 tonight. It doesn't get any better than that. Washington, Tampa Bay. Winner plays the Vegas Golden Knights in the Stanley Cup Final, which will start Monday night, Memorial Day. Monday night will be Game 1 of the finals. Washington or Tampa Bay. Alex Ovechkin and the Washington Capitals 4-11 as a franchise in Game 7s. That's not good. But we've seen Washington close out Columbus on the road in the first round. Close out Pittsburgh on the road in the second round. Is this a different Capitals team? Is this a team that's a little mentally and physically tougher, ready to close out an excellent Tampa Bay team in a Game 7 on the road? I think they have a legitimate chance tonight. We'll talk about this game more in depth on the Ice Guys this afternoon. Join us, me, Alex, and Andrew, 4 p.m. Eastern.
All right, so no pick on the game for you for the Roundtable, Ian.
I'm making you watch the Ice Guys. I'm making you watch.
All right. Donnie, I don't know. What do you think, man?
No, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, it's a lot of fun, but, we are here in the gambling community, and now that, legalized gambling in the United States eventually is going to go through each and every state, probably not in Utah for some reason. They just don't adhere to it there, but it's kind of funny, and Jeff can agree, and I'm sure, like Ian, where you're at, and also Drew, where you're at as well, the informed public always makes me laugh. Like here in Philadelphia, you get the guy that calls up the radio station, Las Vegas going to take one of the biggest hits they ever took, and Vegas wins the cup with all the exposure. They're set to lose millions. People, wake the hell up, man. $5 and $10 tickets out there, Vegas wins it, aren't going to bankrupt Las Vegas there because sharps out there probably put hundreds of thousands or millions on other futures out there at heavier odds that didn't come in. Vegas will be just fine out there. Settle down.
Yeah, people always bring that up
They'll
too. I mean, the sportsbooks do just fine. I guess Ian or Big Man, did you have anything to say on the subject?
No, and listen, no offense to all the great people in that great town, but I'm not going to feel sorry for anyone in Vegas that's a bookmaker. Give me a break. Let me feel bad for people that are homeless and people that are drug addicts and people that have 70 years in jail in front of them and they didn't commit a crime. Let me feel bad for those people, not rich, arrogant bookmakers who won't give me the time of day if I walked in to speak to them. I wish them nothing but bad things, frankly. I hope nothing good happens to them. I hope to get burnt for the next 2 years straight.
Well, remind Big Man not to come into contact with Tony Miller when he goes down to the Golden Nugget. Yeah. Stay away from Tony Miller, Jeff, for everybody's sake. Yeah.
Will do.
Oh, man. All right, guys. We got best bets coming up. College football talk. I guess, dude, did you sending out this to you guys, I went and looked on Bet Online. Couple lines caught my eye. I mean, we got Wyoming, New Mexico State -6 for Wyoming. Like interesting games here. Teams losing quarterbacks. I think it's a volatile handicap to try to handicap these week 1. But guys, Donnie, you said that the one really caught your eye. You want to throw it out there for the watchers?
Yeah, 2 of them. I mean, if we're in the handicapping business, being touts or selling picks or trying to raise awareness out there, people, I mean, if you're looking on the rotation, 133, 134, the single best overall rivalry in college football is going to kick off week 1. I'm excited. Who are we talking about here? Central Florida, Connecticut. The civil conflict takes place week 1. You're going to lay a 22.5 out there in a major rivalry game. Give me the points all day long with Connecticut there. But no, being serious here, game that's kind of interesting to me is Washington State. Jeff's boys out there traveling to Wyoming. Line seems a little bit short, 3.5, 4 out there. No Josh Allen from Wyoming. Does that mean Washington State has completely fallen off the map? They can't go up there and hang a touchdown over Wyoming? Something's got to give there. Something I don't know about.
It's Wyoming's second game. That might have something.
Is it Wyoming? Okay, well, that would make a little bit of difference then.
Yeah, also,
the first.
You look at Washington State. I mean, you obviously lose Luke Falk. You obviously, unfortunately, lose Tyler Helinski, who committed suicide, which is very sad. Where do you go from here if you're Mike Leach? Tough spot, really. As far as receivers are concerned, look, they have the options. They have some decent guys there, running back or two, but it's going to be tough. I mean, you lose a guy like Luke Falk, and you don't necessarily have anyone waiting in the wings. When they lost Connor Holiday, they had Luke Falk coming in, and they had guys coming in that they could go to. Unfortunately, with the unfortunate passing of Helinski, I'm not sure that you'll be ready to handle that. I don't, frankly, at this point, and I'd have to read into some of the Pullman newspapers. I don't know who your quarterback is at this point. Generally, when something like this happens, you're going to be hurt as far as where you are with recruits. I don't know. I'd have to read into that. But it's a bad spot nonetheless. I hope. Are we going to talk Oklahoma, Florida Atlantic? I have a little bit on that, but I don't want to go ahead in the program here.
Yeah, we'll come back to that because that's a game we talked about earlier, and we did a little guessing lines on it. But Ian, let's get you in here. What caught your eye?
No, that's what makes the unfortunate passing of Helinski really disappointing. Obviously, the personal tragedy, but from a football perspective, this is a guy that was going to ease in very nicely, transition very nicely into the starting quarterback job. Let's not forget, this is a guy that got to see the field a little bit last season for Mike Leach and the Cougars. I mean, he got playing time. There'd be times when Falk was not moving the offense, things were breaking down a little bit, and he put Helinski in there. Helinski got a lot of snaps, got a lot of field time last year. Now, you're going to have to turn to someone a lot more inexperienced now. The quarterback spot, we have no clue who it is, and it's a big blow to this Washington State team. So as much as Wyoming could be rebuilding a little bit here, they do have that first game under their belt. I think you're going to see some of these point spreads padded in the second week to teams that maybe played that abbreviated first week because they got an extra game under their belt, a little more chemistry, a little more rhythm, continuity, the whole bit. So things to watch out for sure.
Yeah, no, good stuff there. Guys, I have a question for you. So, like some of these smaller schools, for instance, Coastal Carolina catching 30.5, Central Michigan 19, we got UNLV, USC plus 27. Some of these small schools going into kind of, the bigger territory in over their heads, so to speak. Would you look to take the points and have them keep it close, or no, lay it with the favorite, or totally stay away? Donnie, what do you think?
I'm more than likely probably to take the points on opening week. Like if you bring up one of those, like Coastal Carolina, South Carolina, 30.5 at that point. The thing that you're still going to have nerves from being game one for South Carolina. Is the crowd going to be super amped in this one because it's game one? Probably not, because it's Coastal Carolina. You expect to win there. But also a lot of these guys more focused on that week 2 game. You don't want any injuries. You want to get a lot of stuff on film. You want to put the game away. Maybe you're a little bit more conservative because do you really have to open up your playbook against Coastal Carolina game 1? You probably just get physical, run the clock, run it out there. And it's not a matter anymore of running it up on Coastal Carolina to try to get those AP votes at this point. If you're going to hang more than 4 touchdowns in your first game, you're looking at one of those games where you might even run it out to 35-0 at the half. And then you just coast in the second half. And that's where Coastal Carolina might be able to tack on a touchdown or two to get the cover. Those big lines week 1 in these type of games, more than likely, I always look to take the points and actually lay it week 1.
Okay. And Jeff, what about you? Any opinion on the paycheck games?
I'm going to lay points in these kind of games, especially with the very high-end universities. Some of the Big 12 teams, some of the teams that really put it on you. Listen, these are extreme discrepancies talent-wise. Obviously it's game to game. I don't know if like a Central Michigan, I would do it with them or something like that, but a Coastal Carolina, a team that's really just come into Division I and some kind of thing. It's all game to game really. But I'm looking towards like a Georgia, laying points with them, or teams that I know, like against Austin P, they have a first game or something like that. I'm more inclined to do that, but. Listen, I have a hard time supporting pay-for-play games, frankly. I think it's a disgrace that they're allowed. I don't see how you can allow this. It's not fair to the kids. It's a health concern, in my opinion. Um, I can't really support it. I think it's wretched that they do it. But yeah, I would tend to lay the points as opposed to take them. I don't want to take points at a bad team. I mean, because before you know, it, like Donnie said, it's 35-0, and you're like, Jesus Christ, why did I take 34.5 here? I mean, I'm not at halftime, I'm losing already, and I got to feel like I got to worry about Austin P trying to score a touchdown here. It's just not. It's really game to game, though. I hate to be kind of all over this, but um, it's game to game for me.
Okay.
I'm tending to lay it though.
Yeah, no, in that situation, I've had a couple of those where it's over at halftime and you got the points in your pocket, and I usually just turn it off. But anyway,
Sure.
Ian, any opinion on that?
Yeah, I mean, for me, laying points early in the season is something I don't mind doing. Like, if I really think it's a mismatch, you got teams that really, in that week one, try to make a statement. We know Nick Saban and Alabama have tried to do that for years. They've been a very good week one team consistently, not only straight up, but against the spread. They've covered a lot in those week ones. Those mismatch situations, I don't shy away from laying 4 touchdowns sometimes in those kind of spots, especially in week one. Later in the season, spot-wise, injuries pile up. Look ahead spots, maybe coming off a huge game, then I'm a little bit more cautious. But early in week one, sometimes you'll see these guys put the hammer down. Northwestern Purdue is a line that attracted me. I like Purdue side there. I'm very high on this Purdue team. I was last year. Jeff Brom did a phenomenal job. Look at the turnaround last year to a bowl game. When's the last time Purdue was bowling prior to last year? They won that bowl game as well. Purdue is a team to watch out for in the Big Ten. Year 2, they're going to be even better, more chemistry, more continuity now. They know the systems of Brom even better, even stronger. I think that defense got better late in the season. That Purdue team going to be a money maker in the Big Ten this season, and I think it'll start right there in that first game against Northwestern.
Yeah, they've been bet up to 3.5. Big man, did you want to say another point here?
Yeah, I have one other point on one of the first games we're going to see. Brigham Young and Arizona. Arizona, 14-point favorite here. BYU was historically bad last year. They have a new offensive coordinator. I think they're hoping to kind of space that offense out a little bit and get a little bit more under that. They were brutal to watch at times last year. I like Khalil Tate. I think he's a Heisman Trophy candidate. I think he's a guy that really can really take the country by storm. He did it last year, really towards the end of the year. He didn't even start in the first 5 games. Still had a real good season. I'll be interested to see how he is this year. Will teams, be able to handle him a little bit easier? And how will Brigham Young come out? I mean, they had a bad season. They're generally a bowl team. Will the new offensive coordinator help that? That might be a couple too many points, especially with a bad defense generally from the Wildcats there under Rich Rod. I like Khalil Tate though. If you're a future guy in a futures market for Heisman.
Big man, any opinion on 215, 216 Navy at Hawaii?
That's it. It's an interesting game because Ken Niumatalolo is Hawaiian,
Yeah.
so you're kind of heading out there to see the old family, and do your thing in your home state. Navy's an interesting team this year because Zach Abey is not going to be the quarterback. Malcolm Perry's going to be the quarterback. Malcolm Perry's coming off an injury. But if you remember last year, Don, I know you remember this, Perry was extremely dynamic in certain games last year. Little guy, running back, really just a straight option guy. But you look at kind of the scat backs and stuff, they lost some players last year to graduation. They were hit hard defensively as well. You lose certain captains and things like that. That's a tough loss. I'm going to look more at the depth chart, see who is around and who's not. But you lose a guy like DJ Palmore on defense, a linebacker. That's big loss. But I like Malcolm Perry. He is a dynamic player. And for once, you have a decent quarterback situation there where, if he doesn't work, you could bring AB in to give you a 7-yard pass if you need it. You can kind of pick and pop with those two. It'll be an interesting game. Hawaii, though, I don't know. They're pretty good at home generally, though. So I'll be inclined to see what is the line in that game.
Bet Online has
14
it
and 8.
15.
Oh, yeah,
Maybe
that's a
then.
lot of points, especially for Hawaii, who generally on the Big Island I'm looking to take. I got to look more at the depth chart. We're only in May. Let me look more at that. That is a game I'll circle in on, though. Might be a decent spot to take the Hawaiians here, especially with some of the question marks that Navy has on defense.
Yeah, I wanted to get your opinion. I know you know the military academy as well. It's a tricky handicap because Hawaii has all the extra time to prepare for the option, but at the same time, you know, if you can't stop the option early, it's not something you learn. So that they can
Well,
make that 15 points look pretty small by the end.
and they do see the option or the pistol in some format. New Mexico runs it. They ran it under Bob Davie. They ran it at Nevada for a while. Um, and you do have all that time. That's a pretty good handicap, by the way, Drew. Good point. I remember a couple years ago, Temple played Army in the first game of the season. Games like that where you want to have the ability to study the option for a certain amount of weeks. That's helpful, especially getting it first as opposed to in the middle of the season. That's an intriguing game that I'll have my eye on, especially with the Naval Academy being involved.
Yeah, we got Kyle Hamburg chiming in, college football, bringing up his team, Georgia. He's interested. Donnie, do you want to throw anything out on maybe the Navy Hawaii game? Anything else catching your eye, or what about the Miami LSU game Sunday night?
Yeah, it's funny. Miami LSU, I'm looking at the bet online number. Miami favored -3, which is a little bit of a head scratcher there. Look, I know Miami's very talented, coming off a decent season, but the one thing that you wanted to see them improve on versus a really good defense, which LSU is going to have, is better play at the quarterback position. Looks like they're going to roll, good old Malik Rozier out there to start the season again, which if you're looking for a guy who can run the offense, who's not going to buckle, I mean, yeah, that's all fine and good, but you better make plays against LSU, and you better be accurate with your throws. I don't see that coming from Malik Rozier. We're like the young kid, N'Kosi Perry, to start in that game. But if we get back to even looking at that Navy, Hawaii game, you better have a strong-ass defense if you're going to stop Navy. It doesn't matter. I mean, it's plug and play at Navy. They can run 5 or 6 quarterbacks deep. They can run 7 to 10 running backs deep at this point. And has anybody ever watched Hawaii over the years? When have they stopped anything of a ground attack at that point? I could see Navy hanging 45 to 50 on Hawaii because Hawaii's probably going to play a little bit of up-tempo to get back into that game. I just don't see how Hawaii's going to stop the first down barrage from Navy in that game. And what are you going to say, Jeff? Navy kids are probably the best overall conditioned athletes in the entire country. If you're going out in August to Hawaii, it's going to be hot, steamy, sweaty, and muggy. They might just barrel over that Hawaii team.
Yeah, that's a great over. I mean, that total, when that comes out, I would be all over that one. That looks like a 45-31 type of game, something like that.
Yep. Yeah.
We'll see plenty of points there.
Yeah, I mean, Hawaii was able to put up some points. Their quarterback, Drew Brown, I'm not sure if he's returning, but he was pretty good dual threat guy. So I would look at that total as well. That's a good point, big man. And yeah, I mean, as far as weather goes, especially week 1, early, September, I wouldn't worry about it hurting one team or the other because it's still going to be hot up there in the Northeast. So
by the way,
used to it.
Drew Brown is still there, by the way.
Okay. Yeah. Yep. Good stuff, guys. Good. Wanted to bring up a game that we talked about actually at the end of college football season. We got 151, 152 FAU versus Oklahoma. I put we went around and at just kind of guessing what the line would be. I actually put it 14.5, almost a full touchdown off of where it's sitting right now. FAU catching 21, Oklahoma minus 21. We talked about off screen about teams losing their quarterback. Obviously, Baker Mayfield gone from Oklahoma. FAU, the smaller team, going on the road. The Lane Kiffinites. Ian, what do you got on this game?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I think it's fascinating because, again, you lose a Heisman Trophy winner in Baker Mayfield, and obviously we know it's a situation where there's going to be a lot of question marks about who can fill the void. Question marks, obviously, about Baker, how he's going to play at the next level, but you can't deny from a college football quarterback standpoint, he was fantastic, had a phenomenal career, and that's not going to be an easy thing for the Oklahoma Sooners to replace. I think they've still got some question marks, too, along the offensive line coming into this next season. So when I look at a game like this, and I'm prognosticating where this number should be, sure, they should be double-digit favorites, but I personally wouldn't go much more than maybe 15 or 16. Or if in that particular range. Florida Atlantic obviously had a phenomenal first year under Lane Kiffin last year. A great turnaround, no question about that. Very good offense, improved defense as well. The question is going to be able to hang within this kind of number against a Big 12 type of foe. The one issue with Florida Atlantic is we saw against Wisconsin early last season when they had to step up in class against Power 5 competition. They got steamrolled. They got absolutely blasted. So I would probably make a case for FAU first, then Oklahoma. But that concern that I have about their ability to step up in classes, but last year at least, in the first year under Kiffin, does concern me a little bit.
Yeah, that's a good point. And they had trouble against Wisconsin. Also, what Big Man was talking about against Navy, that first game, they had real trouble stopping it. So it's one of those things when the smaller team, especially up front, the front seven, front eight, can't stop the rushing attack. But Oklahoma doesn't necessarily play that type of offense. Big Man, I know you had some thoughts on this game. Anything on the Owls versus Sooners?
Yeah, listen, I don't know that I see it as much this year with FAU. Listen, it's another season. People know what Lane Kiffin's going to do at this point. You look at their personnel as well. You lose Jason Driscoll. You're basically dealing with DeAndre Johnson, who looks a big name. He comes from Last Chance U, but truth of the matter is he had a blood clot last year. He has had some health issues. Can he be effective? Yeah, I think he can. I think he's a great athlete. You also lose Khabib Woods. You lose some receivers there. You have a whole new offensive coordinator. You lose Kendall Briles. You lose your defensive coordinator, Chris Kiffin, who went to the NFL. They have some new coaches to kind of get in there. But I will say this about Oklahoma. I like Kyler Murray. I love Rodney Anderson. They have a big-time top 10 recruiting class coming in. I wonder about their defense, though. Lost a lot on that defensive line. You look at their secondary, they have 3 freshmen in that secondary and 2 sophomores. Pernell Motley, the big name, obviously. But first game of the season, I wonder, though, about kind of just stepping up. Ian makes a great point. Last year in 2 step-up games, you lose 42-19 and 31-14 to Wisconsin and Navy. This has the look of like a 42-21 type of game. I think they'll give them their best shot, but you got to go to Norman. That's a tough thing to do. For me, I like Kyler Murray. I think he's going to be a good player for them. And Rodney Anderson's a Heisman Trophy candidate. I'm just not sure Lane Train's going to be able to really step up. They didn't do that last year. It was against a lot of bad football teams, let's remember.
And last, certainly not least, Donnie, anything on FAU, Oklahoma, or anything in conclusion on week 1 college football?
Yeah, week 1, was it week 1, the Navy and the Wisconsin game, I believe you're talking about, with FAU last year, just trying to break in that new regime. But once they got it going, they were running, as a locomotive down the tracks. But it's always interesting when you're going to break in a new quarterback in a tougher environment. I do agree. Kyler is going to be, Murphy is going to be a really, really good quarterback at Oklahoma. The thing I like about that kid is obviously he's got the wheels to get by. If I'm looking at this game, I'm not even looking at a side in this game. It's a clear total to me. Lane Kiffin's going to break the bank to try to go up there and score the same way they're going to do at Oklahoma. If that's like a 65.5 total on that, I'm looking over all day long, because as a new quarterback coming into a system trying to get rid of Baker Mayfield and erase it, what's the best way to do it? Throw 4 touchdowns, run for 100 yards yourself, and put that game in the overdrive. Give me the over week 1 in that game.
Right. 2 teams that play up tempo. 2 teams that play up tempo too. Yeah. Very important to point that out.
Yeah, good point, guys. Great discussion there. College football, really good show overall. We got best bets coming up. If you're liking the content, everyone, please give us the thumbs up button. And guys, hitting 57% on the year, 41 and 31. Let's start off with BMOC. Had a winner last week with Atletico Madrid minus 102. BMOC, what do you got for best bets this week for the Roundtable?
I'm going to go towards. I got to do baseball. Obviously, soccer's pretty much winded down. I'm going to go 961, 962. I'm going to take a dog. I'm going to go Rockies. Okay, look, I mean, I don't trust the Dodgers to do anything consistently. I mean, they won last night, but okay. I mean, you were losing at one point. You haven't played well. You don't hit lefties at all. I don't trust them there. I just think in this kind of spot, I'm going to look towards an underdog here. I can get the Rockies, who are a pretty decent team. They have a good bullpen. I can get them at plus 160 against the Dodgers, who, listen, I don't trust at all. I'm going to go with them here. I think the Rockies, always, when I can get them at plus 150 or higher, I'm going to look towards them. I like Kyle Freeland. He's been very good his last 3 starts, 2 of them being road games. I'm going to hope that he can go in here and pitch pretty well. Maeda's just been, average. Had a good start last time out against Miami, but it's Miami. Who cares? If I'm getting 160 here with the Rockies, I'm taking that all day. Give me Colorado plus 160.
Nice. Big dog there for BMOC. Donnie, follow him on Twitter at RightSideVP. His work at DonnieRightside.com. Donnie, what do you got for best bets, man?
Yeah, I'm going to switch it up a little bit this week. We're going to take a baseball game, 7:10 Eastern time start, 9:59, 9:60. Something I rarely do in this instance, but I just think it lines up and makes a lot of sense today. Just don't think the Miami Marlins are going to be able to hit Jacob deGrom at home. If we take a look at some of deGrom's overall numbers there, weighted on base average to lefties 233, to righties a 180. In xFIP to right-handed batters of under 1 is outrageous at home. I would be surprised if the Marlins get more than 2 runs over this entire 9-inning affair, and I think the Mets can get to Dan Straley on the road. Straley does have good numbers versus righties, but it looks like the Mets can line up 5 to 6 left-handed batters versus Straley on the road. No surprise to me if the game ends up 4-1, 5-1 Mets. Give me the run line, -1.5 at -105 at BetOnline. I think deGrom cruises. He is absolutely untouchable at home versus a very inept Miami offense. Give me the Mets here in this one.
All right, Donnie, New York Mets -1.5, -105, and didn't give out BMOC's Twitter handle. Follow him on Twitter at Jeff Nadeau. Great follow there on Twitter. Ian Cameron, follow him on Twitter at Babano, his work at sportsmemo.com. Ian, what do you got for best bets for the roundtable?
Yeah, we're going to pick on Aaron Sanchez until he turns it around. We're going to pick on Toronto's inability to hit lefties until they show me they can. The LA Angels, -114. I talked about this in depth earlier in the show, so not going to belabor the point. We'll go with the LA Angels, -114. You can find that at the Greek right now. That'll be my best bet for the roundtable this week.
All right, and I'll follow it up with Milwaukee. Take some of BMOC's advice from earlier in the show. -107 right now at home at JustBet. So that's my best bet. So we got Milwaukee -107. We got Ian Cameron on the Angels -114. BMOC, a big dog on the Rocks +160. Donnie Rightside, New York Mets -1.5 on the run line -105. Guys, great show. Got some college football in as well. Best of luck on the best bets. Best of luck in your betting today and this week. For Ian Cameron, Jeff Nadeau, and Donnie Rightside, I am Drew Martin. We'll be back next Wednesday, same time, same place. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.